What's up, guys? Welcome back to Latin Chopsticks. Thank you so much for tuning in. Guys, today we're going to be going to another dedicated HotPot restaurant here in Orlando. And coincidentally, this one is located also in like previous videos that we've done in Chinatown in Orlando. Now, this place is a little bit special. I've heard a lot of different comments and I've heard a lot of different things. And actually, my buddy Danny ended up really recommending this place based on what he's seen as well, because apparently they serve one of the best broths that you can get in Orlando, and they have a lot of different choices. Not only that, but they do offer an option that for a $4 upcharge, you're able to add on to the all-you-can-eat hot pot and add on all-you-can-eat appetizers. And we're talking about calamari, we're talking about chicken wings and different things like that. So I'm really excited, as always, and I am starving. We ended up coming here for dinner tonight. I can't wait. We're gonna go ahead and head inside since we're already here. And enough talking, let's go eat. All right, guys, awesome, we made it, we are here. This place is honestly very small. It's a lot smaller than I thought it would be, but I find it really cool. I don't know if you guys can see here in my back, there's actually a conveyor belt that you can get toppings and stuff like that for the hot pot that you're gonna get. I'm gonna go ahead and show you this real quick. So let's go ahead and take a look at this menu because there's a ton of broths, like I mentioned. Okay, so first things first, take a look at this. So it's only $20.99 if you come here during the lunch hours. For dinner and weekends, it's $28.99, but for $4, as I mentioned, you can add all you can eat appetizers. They have beef broth, chicken broth, vegetables, seafood, I was about to say tomato, but tomato, Thai tom yum, kimchi, curry, and Chinese Szechuan. This was very highly recommended right here, the Chinese Szechuan, but I ended up doing the curry because that's honestly really different. I've never had curry broth in a hot pot place before. Now, here are the appetizers that you can have. In my opinion, that's a pretty good amount of different appetizers, as well as they have half steamed crab. I don't know if I'm gonna get one, but that is something I'm considering. And then of course, back here, you have all the different drinks, including boba tea, which is real nice. They have soju and of course some other choices. Now, so far, like I said, I found this place pretty interesting. I'll show you guys the conveyor belt in a couple of minutes. I am about to get up and go ahead and check out like the actual buffet option. They do have like the sauce station and things like that where you can create your own sauce and have your own little toppings. So I'm gonna go ahead and get up. Let's go ahead and check it out. All right, guys, so the first thing we're gonna look at is all this right here. They have Whittier mushrooms, red potatoes, mixed fruits. I mean, these are all the different things that you can put in your broth in a buffet style. You can just grab as much as you want. Then of course you have your hard-boiled egg, or oh, that's actually uncooked egg, quail eggs, which I'll grab some in a little bit. Tofu cake, fresh tofu, crab sticks, and things like that. They have the dumplings as well, fish. I mean, there's a ton of different options. It looks like people really tend to grab the tendons, which is interesting. But I do like the crawfish and stuff like that. Look at the crab and all that. And then of course, the infamous meats. You have chicken, pork belly, lamb, beef brisket, and premium beef. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. Now let's go ahead and head out to the sauce station. So in the sauce station, they do have a whole bunch of different options. They have shrimp paste, bamboo, homemade kimchi, which that's interesting. They have different types of chilies, and just, I mean, look at this, guys. There's a ton of options. There's peanuts, sesame, ginger, garlic, cilantro. I mean, this is genuinely really impressive. All right, guys, awesome. All the food came out at once after we went to pick up our few plates of like the buffet area. You guys gotta take a look at this. So right now, this is the table. It is slam packed with food. We have our appetizers out, which look absolutely delicious. Of course, you have the fish fillet, the fried fish fillet, the calamaris with some jalapenos. But look at this broth, man. Look at the concentration, the colors. You see some onions, cilantro. Ooh, this is really good. I'm about to put this whole thing, I know it's not traditional, but I'm gonna put all this in there. But before I do that, I am gonna try just a little bit of this broth and just to see how it is. But this is spicy and this is a curry broth. So let's go ahead and try this out. All right, guys. Wow, oh man, a little bit of a kick. But wow, that's really flavorful. Oh, and the curry flavor, you could definitely taste it. Surprisingly, it's not overwhelming. It's just like a compliment to the actual broth itself. Wow, that's really, really good. I'm gonna grab a little bit more, and then I'll start mixing all this stuff together because this is amazing. All right, guys. Let's go ahead and put all our stuff in there. Now this is cilantro, some green onions, and a lot of garlic, and a little bit of white onions. I just like adding a little bit of that. That's probably my Hispanic side that likes to do that. And believe it or not, it was actually Danny that, he was like, why don't you do this? And he did it in the last time that him and I went out to like a hot pot place. But wow. All right, so while this is heating up and getting ready, we're actually gonna go ahead and start digging into the appetizers and see how they are. All right, so these appetizers look delicious. Remember guys, this is part of the all you can eat for just $4 more. So the first thing we're gonna try is we're gonna go ahead and try these pot stickers. Just go ahead and dip it into this sweet Thai chili sauce. And let's go ahead and try this baby out. All right guys, I can't wait. So the inside seems a little basic, but it's nice and flavorful. There's a good amount of salt in there. The outside is extremely crispy because it's fried. I believe they have tiny little pieces of water chestnut. And then the sauce here, when you dip it in, ooh, it like, because the sauce is so thick, it coats it really well where it doesn't drip. And it like just grips the outside and the dough like so well. It adds a little bit of sweetness and kick to that nice sweet and savory and salty flavor of the pork. All right guys, the next thing we're gonna try, man, that's really good. I wanna have more, but I wanna go one by one for you guys. But next thing I wanna try is that spring roll. I do like the fact that the spring rolls are nice and small, like an appetizer should be in my opinion. Same thing, we're gonna go ahead and just dip it a little bit into this. We're gonna go ahead and try this baby out and see how it is. I love how you can see the glistening of the oil, so you know this was very recently fried. But let's go ahead and try this out. All right guys, here we go. Outside nice and crispy. The inside's really good. It's not as flavorful as the pot sticker, but you do have some carrots, you have a little bit of cabbage in there, and then you have a ton of dough. But the crispiness of the outside kind of complements it. It ends up tasting like a little warm blanket when you eat it. So one thing I did notice, since I'm turning on the light on the phone camera and it's reflecting directly on you guys, it takes a little bit of a second in between clips for the camera to adjust. I'm gonna try to adjust that from here on out. All right guys, the next thing we're gonna try is the one thing I wanted the most. Danny ended up ordering it for both of us. But I mean, this is fried fish fillets. I'm guessing this is tartar sauce. I'm gonna go ahead and dip that in there. And let's just see how this tastes. I mean, this is, the form factor of this is nice and firm. I can't wait. All right guys, I'm really excited for this bite actually. Oh my God. The outside, as I said, the form factor is nice and crispy, very firm. The inside is super soft, almost melt in your mouth. And that tartar sauce adds such an acidity that breaks through like the little bit of fat that you taste in this fish. This is absolutely amazing. All right guys, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this one since it's a small plate, but this is the calamari. Let's go ahead and just check that out. Just gonna go ahead and try one out, see how it is. The outside is nice and flaky. The inside is cooked perfectly. It's not overly chewy. A little bit of firmness. It's like almost perfectly cooked. And then it just has like a little bit of a salty flavor on the outside, but since the inside's a little bit simple, it balances itself out really, really well. I'm actually gonna come over here, dip it into this sweet Thai chili. We're gonna go ahead and try this out. All right guys, cheers. Looks good on its own, but with a little bit of sauce, takes it to that next level. Some jalapeno here. All right guys, so the broth is nice and boiling now. I'm gonna go ahead and put all the meats in there. Since they are frozen, I just like to throw them all in there. Maybe stir them around for like 2-3 minutes and then just kind of pull them out while they're just nicely cooked. That way they don't get too tough, because if you leave them in the broth for too long, they do end up getting a little bit tough. So I like doing that because it cools down the soup just a bit from getting too hot, but then it cooks the steak really, well, the meats and stuff like that, the protein that you put in there cooks them really, really fast. But oh man, this is really good. And then the flavor that it's gonna be developing when I start putting, some of the vegetables like the broccoli and stuff like that, it's gonna start absorbing into the broth. The broth's just become even more flavorful. A lot of the hot pot places that I've been to before this one, the broths are really good, but they're a bit simple at first. And I think I've mentioned this before in the different places that we've gone to, but the amount of flavor on this curry broth is really, really good, and has like the perfect amount of kick to it as well. All right guys, so let's go ahead and it's pretty much done. Just gonna go take a large amount out. Whoop, that's raw, so we're gonna go ahead and put it in here. Oh yeah, guys, that is the good stuff right there. Oh, that looks so good. I can't wait to dig in. So while we're gonna eat that, let it cool down just a bit, I'm gonna stick the broccoli in there. We're gonna go ahead and stick the rest of the little toppings that we decided to get off the buffet. Ooh, making a mess here. But yeah, let's go ahead and mix this in. And we'll start digging in once we finish the few little meats that we put in here. All right guys, so here we go. The bite of the meat. I believe this one's the brisket. Let's try this out. In those 10 seconds that I placed it, because I did that in one take, everything got cooked perfectly. The curry flavor penetrated just a little bit, where you could kind of taste it on a mouthful of the meat. Giggity. But it honestly just, oh man. Get a little bit of the sweetness from the onion. You get the freshness of the cilantro, that freshness of the green onions and the crunchiness of that. And then you get as well the meat. It's nice and chewy, fatty. Oh, just so good together. Let's check that out, man. And I have sauces, but I don't think you need any, to be honest with you. Now, another thing that she did is she brought out like fresh Szechuan paste. We're gonna go ahead and just add ever so slightly to our broth and just mix it together just to kind of kick it up a little bit. But oh, it's hard to explain, guys. Honestly, it was really good from the get-go, but the flavors developing in this broth and how quickly and how the like curry transferred to this beef. Not to mention the garlic in every bite and all that freshness from the vegetables that I put in there. Oh man, that's really good. All right guys, it's been a couple of minutes and I ended up taking out like the bok choy, some of the broccoli, some of the little like meatballs, as well as the dumpling. We're about to try those out and see how that, fares with this broth. Let's go ahead and take a look. All right guys, I mean, look at the color of this because of that broth. You can see like inside in between the crevices, there's just so much fat and flavor from the curry broth. You have the bok choy, the little meatball. It does look a little dry, but we'll see. Hopefully it absorbs some of the flavor. And you have like the broccoli, but let's go ahead and try this out, see how it is when you cook it in that delicious broth. One thing I love about HotPot is you most of the time, at least me, almost every single time I do one, I almost always make a mess, and I feel like it's justified. Let's go ahead and try this out. So the filling's exactly the same as the fried ones, but the addition of the broth seeping into it, like if I squeeze it ever so slightly with the chopsticks, you can kind of see the juiciness in there. It has a little bit of that broth inside, so it adds a little bit of depth to that bite. You are missing the crunch, but it honestly makes it up in a ton of extra flavor. Next thing we're gonna try is this meatball. Let's see how that is. Very spongy. I thought it was gonna be super dry, even though I know it's cooking in broth. In my experience, most of the time it's just a little chewy, but this thing just like came apart really, really quickly in my mouth. I'm surprised. Wow. Let's go ahead and try some of the onions, the garlic, and the tiny little shrunken bok choy. Last but not least, the broccoli. One thing I forgot to address, man. Adding that Szechuan made it just a little bit more spicy, enough to make it even better, in my opinion. Oh my gosh. It added that exact amount of spice where I'm starting to sweat just a little bit. It's clearing my sinuses, but it's still really enjoyable. It's not uncomfortable, it's not too much. Oh man. All right guys, awesome. So we pulled a little bit more out. We're gonna go ahead and start digging in. Got another little piece of the meatball. I promise guys, the flavor in this meatball is really, really good. It's impressive. But now we're gonna try some of the quail eggs. Now they were already cooked before I put it in the broth, but let's see if it absorbs some of that flavor. I'm telling you guys, the broth, and I feel like now that I've had this place, honestly, the star of the HotPot places really should be the broth. I had the misconception before that the broth would be good but plain, and then as you add and cook stuff in it, it became really flavorful. I had it upside down because I don't know if that's how it normally is, but this place, extremely flavorful broth from the get-go. So just imagine adding all this stuff just keeps elevating that flavor to make some golden goodness. So let's go ahead and try this out, see how it is. I'm gonna try one more. I'm gonna try to see if I can bite it and show you, but the inside turned into like mushy lava. Take a look at this. So prior to cooking it, the yolk was actually kind of firm, but because I put it in there, it's like, look at that. It's like almost about to fall out because it's so soft. It's almost like a paste. Yep, it's ripping, there you go. It is like a paste on the inside. It's just golden goodness, man. This is amazing. Let's go ahead and just grab a little bit of this meat with a little bit of the garlic in there. We're gonna go ahead and try that out. Oh my gosh, guys. Honestly, it's like freshness in every bite. And I know I mentioned this very few times, but remember, this is all you can eat. So you can just stuff this with meat. You don't have to put any vegetables. Or if you're not a meat eater, you might be able to just put it with a bunch of vegetables in it, maybe some fish cakes and things like that. We ordered a couple more appetizers, and I'm probably gonna go order a boba to go, but I'm gonna go ahead and enjoy the rest of this, and I'll see you guys in a couple of minutes. Oh guys, I'm honestly like really stuffed. But they brought out the last 2 appetizers. Let's go ahead and take a look at them, try it out, see how it is. One thing I forgot to mention, in the appetizers, normally they have wings. I couldn't order them because they actually ran out, because that's a pretty good deal. It has all you can eat wings technically, and that alone in some other places like 20, 30 bucks. So I'm honestly really impressed that for $4 they add all that. So it ends up being like 33 bucks plus tip and stuff. So I would say maybe $45 in total if you don't order a drink. That's not bad. It's a really good experience in my opinion. So here you have shrimp, and then you have little tiny corn bites, sweet corn bites. But we're gonna go ahead and try this coconut shrimp. This is really hot, it's burning my hand, but I'm gonna go ahead and try this out, just see how it is. I love how crunchy it is on the outside. Wow. All right guys, here we go. You can see the flakes of the coconut. Shrimp is perfectly cooked. It's nice and chewy, it's not tough. Super flavorful outside. A little salty and sweet because of the coconut, but then when you add this sauce, it just elevates it too, as you guys know, that next level, and it's just a really good bite. One thing that I'm impressed is just the quality of the appetizers. Usually when you go to like all you can eat spots and they have like an appetizer menu, they're good, but at the same time, you're not expecting huge quality because it's part of an all you can eat and it's just an appetizer. But this, I would say that this is on par with some of the appetizers that I've eaten in some nice dedicated restaurants. Last thing we're gonna grab is, usually I use the chopstick, but I'm trying to do this across the table, so it's kind of difficult. But there's a sweet corn nugget. I'm gonna go ahead and try this out. All right guys, here we go. The outside's nice and crispy, nice and firm. But the inside, you just basically have cream of corn. It's nice and sweet and just very flavorful. I know I keep repeating it, guys, but I'm honestly really impressed with this place. I'm gonna enjoy the rest of this. Honestly, I'm getting pretty full, and there's still a lot of stuff in this broth that I gotta eat. If I have room, I will order a boba just to try that out before we head out. But if not, I'll let you guys know. So give me a couple of minutes while I recover. All right, guys, so I couldn't finish the broth. Normally, I leave quite a bit of broth, but I drank a lot of it just because of the flavor. But I am so stuffed, I cannot have boba right now. If I end up buying the boba, in all honesty, I'm not gonna enjoy it. It's gonna be too much, but they do include ice cream as part of their menu for you to like take with you if you want to take it to go or eat it here. We're gonna open it, I'm probably gonna eat mine here. But the ice creams are generic. So you have like the typical orange creamsicle. You have like the Rocket Bomb that's like, I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's mostly here in the US. I don't think I've ever seen it anywhere else, but it's like the red, white, and blue little rocket shaped ice cream. They have this one, which is your little generic vanilla with chocolate. And then they have the typical like super cheap ice cream sandwiches. In all honesty, this place was really, really good in my opinion. The broth is what made this place so much more special than all the other places we've been to before. At least the curry broth that we had, so flavorful. And I have a feeling all the broths are like that. They did recommend the Szechuan, but I just didn't feel like eating that much spicy, even though I ended up, you know, putting Szechuan paste into it, and it brought up the spice a bit. But next time I come here, I'm definitely gonna try that. But with that said, I would highly recommend this place. This is, in my opinion, my new favorite hot pot place. In all honesty, they're all really good that I've been to, but this just takes the cake by far. I'm gonna go ahead and enjoy this ice cream, and hopefully survive the drive home after all this food without going into a food coma. Guys, if you're liking this type of content, I really appreciate it for you to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that notification bell so you guys don't miss any of the future videos. I'm gonna go ahead and enjoy the rest of this. As I said, I will see you guys next Sunday, and until then, let's just keep on eating.